Alright guys, oop, autofocus. So this is another request from my good friend the Mount Vernon Kid, and as always, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, and where you guys can hit the 4th tier, sorry, I literally jumped the gun, sorry, where you guys can hit the 4th tier, and you guys can send me requests from there. So, if you guys would like, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 4th tier, where you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. Now, this one is fun because I actually was going to do this video for Halloween. A while back, I was going to do this as a video for Halloween, but, what was I gonna say? It was, I was going to do it for a Halloween video. I was going to do this video for Halloween, but the problem is that I just was so tired and just so out of it, and I had a really bad migraine. I was just like, I'll do it some other time. But thankfully, Chris has decided, you know what? This is going to be my request for you. So he did this on his channel, and I really like this. This is my top 10 favorite cryptids. So yeah, I love cryptozoology. I really like it. I will say that a lot of it is bullshit. A lot of these creatures are kind of... Now, I do think that some of these cryptids are real. Remember, we didn't think gorillas were real to the 1920s. Like, legit. We didn't think the giant squid was real for, well, centuries. We didn't think that the okapi was real for decades. So, there are animals out there that I do think are, like, creatures that could exist. But a good number of them, no. But it is fun to think about. Like, it is kind of fun. As for, like, an example of what cryptids I do like to think are real, a lot of the, Sasquatch creatures, especially one in Indonesia called the orang pendek, which, literally, by the sound of it, really probably just sounds like a subspecies of orangutan. Which, yeah, there's no shame in that. Like, finding a new subspecies of orangutan would be really cool. But anyway, so, as always, if you think I can't believe I gotta say this for this one, but yeah, if you think a cryptid should be higher or lower on the list, that's totally fine. I'm always excited to hear where you guys rank cryptids on your list. So, let's get started with our number 10. So, at number 10, we have a creature that has always kind of creeped me out. Like, it's something like, while I don't believe in, at the same time, I don't want to see it either. It's one of those, I don't think it's real, but I don't want to find out that if it's real or not. And those are, BEKs. Now, what are BEKs? Black-eyed kids. They're basically or BECs, black-eyed children. Basically what they are a race of beings that look like children and try to get entrance into your house. Or try to attack you on the street. These things are terrifying, and, like, I have heard of, like, in quote-unquote encounters with them, but it's something I don't really think is real, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to see it either. I don't want to encounter that. That's something I don't want to, like, I don't want to find out is real. If it's real or not. Yeah. But it's always been something that's been kind of creepy and, like, just so unsettling about the stories you hear about it. They're very disturbing. They're very unsettling, and just something I just don't want to see. Like, it's just something you don't want to encounter in any way, shape, or form. So moving on to number 9. Now, number 9 is another creature I don't want to know if it's real or not, and that is the Jabafofi. What is the Jabafofi? The Jabafofi is, in a nutshell, a giant spider in the Congo. They are these giant dog-sized spiders that may or may not exist. I don't, the problem is that scientifically, a spider can't get to a certain size because its lungs will collapse in on of itself and its body will be too big. Having said that, though, there's some weird shit out there that we still don't know about. So the Jabafofi, now these are creatures I would believe there's a chance they could be real, because you hear so many realistic stories of these creatures and other creatures like it. Now, there's been a new theory that's been going around that since a lot of the encounters happen near water, like river, perhaps it's maybe a species of crustacean. but that doesn't explain the webbing you hear a lot in a lot of these stories. So the Jabba is definitely a creature, like, already someone who's an arachnophobic. That's something I don't need to see. Ever. Absolutely fucking not. Abso-fucking-lutely not. So, let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is we got a classic right here, ladies and gentlemen. The classic of the Jersey Devil. This is a creature I don't think exists in any way, shape, or form. But having said that, though, it is kind of cool to have the thought of a beast like this. And it's also a creature I've written about in a book, where he fought the Mothman in a short story called Duel of the Monsters. Go check that out. It would be really nice. So, the Jersey Devil is one of those original cryptids, right? Like, it's one of the big, American, animals. It's like one of those big, you heard this story. Like, you've heard this story, you've heard all of it, and you are basically, entrenched with it. And it's a cool, the mythos behind the Jersey Devil is really cool, and it's really neat. Do I think it's real? Fuck no. But do I think it makes for a cool story? Absolutely. And I love using the Jersey Devil or something akin to it in any story original story I try to write. So, yeah. Anywho, so there you go. The Jersey Devil at number 8. We're moving on now to number 7. And number 7 is going to be a fun one because it's another thing I don't know if it's real or not, but I don't want to find out if it is. And that is La Chuza. Now, La Chuza is a Spanish witch that is known as the Owl Woman. And this thing is probably more scarier than La Llorona, where this is a thing that will drain the life force out of you just because it doesn't like you. That's scary. Like that. The thought of just something terrorizing you because it can is a really disturbing thought. It's a very, of all the spellbinding all the witch-like creatures you hear about, La Chuza has been one that I was like, yeesh. I don't want to see that one. So, let's move on now to the next one on the list, and that is, we are now at number 6. So, who is at number 6? Number 6 is, we're going back to the Congo for this one. Now, you've all heard of the Mokele Mbembe, where it's a Apatosaurus or a Brachiosaur of some kind, a sauropod of some kind, that has been known to kill elephants. But we're not going to be talking about the Mokele Mbembe. We're going to be talking about something else that lives in the Congo apparently alongside it. And that is the Kasai Rex. The Kasai Rex is basically this huge carnivore that has been reportedly a beast so powerful it can kill elephants and hippos with no problem, and eats them, and enjoys hunting humans. Now, you may be thinking, T-Rex never exists. If you're a paleontologist or you understand paleontology, then you know that the Kasai Rex, that the T-Rex never existed in Africa. In no way. But there was a predator that was in Africa at the time that really does fit the description of the Kasai Rex, and that's Carcharodontosaurus. Carcharodontosaurus was one of the largest predators in the world. It shared territory with the Spinosaurus and was an apex predator. The problem is that I don't think this is like Mokele Mbembe. Would it be cool if dinosaurs were somewhere deep in the Congo? I'd love nothing more than to see that. Do I think it's probable? There's like a 1% chance, and I'm being very generous with that. But the Kasai, or the K-Rex, as we'll call it, the K-Rex, is a really cool idea, and I do think, the problem with the K-Rex is that predators need to eat a lot of food to get through the day. And unfortunately, unless he's eating a lot of hippos and a lot of elephants, he's not getting the calories he needs to survive. Unless there's a whole, lost world deep in Africa, deep in the Congo, where he's fighting Mokele Mbembes or something like that. But it is a cool idea, and again, I love me some dinosaurs, so the K-Rex at number 6. So, moving on now to our top 5. Now, let's talk about our top 5. The top 5 are some really fun ones, because a lot of them are some you really know. Starting off with the Yeti. The Yeti is probably like my favorite of, one of my favorite ones of the Sasquatch creatures. And it's something I like to think could be real. Like, of any of the apes outside of the orang pendek, I do think that the Yeti is a possibility, because there have been, there is enough food there in the Himalayas, whether it be yaks, or, snow leopards or goats that it could feed off of. And these, we have seen that apes can exist in hostile environments. So if I was to put any stock in any of, and also the other thing about primates, you ain't gonna see them unless they want you to. Remember, there wasn't a sighting of a species of bonobo and chimpanzee until 2014. There was an entire race of primate that we never knew about until 2014. That's still, 2014 is so long ago, but, at the same time, 2014? Fucking primates were hiding deep in the jungle. My point being is that if a primate don't want to see you, you ain't gonna see him. So there's that. So the Yeti is one I like to think could be real. Of all the Sasquatches, of these unknown cryptid primates, that's the one I would really like to think could be real. So let's move on now to our top 4. And at number 4, if there's Yeti, there's bound to be Bigfoot. Yep, Bigfoot at number 4. Bigfoot is the king of cryptids. If you were to ask, what's a cryptid or whatever, or something like that, the first answer that's going to come out of anyone's mouth is Bigfoot, because he is the king of cryptids. Do I think Bigfoot is real? I would like to think that there is a North American ape living among us, but it's getting harder and harder to really believe it these days. As opposed to other, cryptid apes that have a, shot at being real, because there's so much unexplored territory out there, such as, like I said, the Yeti or the orang pendek. I would even put a wee bit of stock in the Yowie. Probably not the saber-teeth, but I would, I think there is enough territory in Australia for something like the Yowie. Anyway, so, yeah, but Bigfoot is a classic, and he's always fun, another character I love writing about. I've always wanted to write a Bigfoot story. It's a lot of fun. So, let's move on now to the top 3. So, number 3, who do we have? We have the Beast of Bray Road. Now, Wolfman werewolf, or lycanthropes, cryptids are creatures I do not put any stock in, because they don't make any sense. Unless there is a whole race of people who do turn into werewolves at night. Which, that would lead to a whole crisis, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that lead to a whole, existential crisis for everybody of, oh my god, werewolves are real. That means vampires are real. Then it's all of that just, would just break your brain. But yeah, the Beast of Bray Road is one of those cryptids that always stuck with me, because I love werewolves. And the idea of having a creature like that existing in Wisconsin, in just this little town in Wisconsin, is pretty fun to me. It's a animal that would just kill you with not even giving it a second thought. He's also another one of those classic cryptids out there. So there we go. Now we move on to number 2. That is another classic cryptid, the Mothman. Mothman is always a cryptid I'm always excited to read about. Hell, like I said, I wrote a fight where he fights the fucking, he fucking fights the Jersey Devil in a matchup. This is a creature that, could be seen as, an omen or a demon or a creature from another universe. There are so many things. Do I think Mothman is real? No. But it is it is kind of cool to see it. It is kind of, the idea of it is kind of cool. Is pretty cool. But yeah, so there is one more. So who is the number one cryptid for me? Well, it's a cryptid that's gotten a lot of attention lately, and I do mean a lot of attention lately. It's something from Native American lore that was kind of left behind, but now is making more appearances. You know what it is. It's the Wendigo. The Wendigo is a creature that literally is something I would never like to see. I would never, if it's real, I don't want to see it, because I'll probably be dead I'd probably be eating my guts, but the idea of it, of this creature that just lives to eat and would do anything to kill you, is a horrifying thought. This thing that just lives for death and bloodlust, and that's it. Like, that's all it does. Is a horrifying thought. And the fact is, it can really, like, fuck with your brain. It's like God. It's like OP as all hell. It's like this alpha predator that cannot be stopped unless you have fire, and even then, that's contested. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my top 10 cryptids. You guys tell me in the comments below, what are your top 10 cryptids? And as always, Chris, I know you're watching this. Thank you, brother, for this video. Thank you for encouraging me to finally do this video for and as a Patreon request. And as always, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.